This is more money. This is more corruption. This is more bribery. Yeah, the Supreme Court. They came out with a wild-ass thing. I put out a video about it last week, but they made bribery easier. They did. Bribery is now much easier to accomplish because of the choices that the Supreme Court made. Yes, it was to cover their own asses. They want more of those bribes. They like having those bribes, and they would like more of them, please and thank you. So they just made it legal to bribe themselves even more.
Hello human, it is me Canuch. I need you to press the subscribe button. I have to feed my many AI babies.
Supreme Court limits the scope of anti-bribery law. So this was a couple of days ago, and I talked about it once already, but the Supreme Court on Wednesday ruled that the federal anti-bribery law does not make it a crime for state and local officials to accept gratuities for acts that they have already taken. This is bad. Brett Kavanaugh did this on purpose because he wants more bribes. He wants to be paid more for the choices he made. The question came in a court in a case called James Snyder. Well, I covered this and stuff like that, but it was a $13,000 check. Kavanaugh says giving somebody a signed book or something along that line isn't bribery. And I can understand what he says. Taking someone out to dinner. If you are a student at a public college and you buy your professor a cappuccino from Starbucks, that's not bribery. And I agree with him. That's not really bribery. I'm on board. Nobody was prosecuting that because it's not a crime, you see. The justice system right now is not bogged down by cases about people being bribed over a cup of coffee or a signed book or a framed picture of the time you did a thing together. That's not what's happening. They are actually looking into a $13,000 check. That's bribery. That's not what happened in this case. This case wasn't about one guy buying a different guy lunch. No, absolutely not. It was about a $13,000 check that was asked for and given because he made a decision. This makes all bribery of all political officials much easier. And it will happen more often. If it's easier, it will happen more often. Lobbyists, do you like lobbyists? Nobody does. They just got empowered. They're better off today than they were yesterday. There will be more lobbying. There will be more bribery. There will be more people paying the government to make decisions for them. That's how it happens to happen now. That's how this will end. The Supreme Court has made buying politicians easier. They have made lobbyists more powerful. They have removed the barrier to bribing judges, themselves included. All of them, not just themselves. They have removed the authority of government agencies to make decisions and given that power to judges. Judges now rule our country. They can be bought. Do you have enough money to buy a few judges? I don't. If you don't have enough money to buy a few judges, it's their government now, and it's not ours. If you have no say in how their government operates, it's their government, not yours. And this is bad. This is real bad. Bribery, way easier now. Biden's cooked, yeah. You're going to get Trump. Yeah, we might. Armed with opinions. We might get fucking Trump because Joe Biden has done such a shit job. And they're not going to replace him. If the DNC does not replace him, we will get Trump. Yeah. And the entire country is going to go to shit because of that. So, yes, we made bribery more accessible. I don't have the money to bribe a few judges, but somebody does, and it's going to be the coal companies. It's going to be the oil companies. It's going to be the giant corporations. It's going to be Amazon. It's going to be Twitter. It's going to be Elon Musk buying judges to rule in the cases that they want. Bribery it's going to be the church. Abso-fucking-lutely, KBP. The church is just going to start paying all the judges who do what they want. If you do what they suggest, they will pay you afterward. And that's legal now. It's okay. What could possibly go wrong? And this is because the Supreme Court wants more bribes. They want more bribes. They expect to get more of them. And they will receive them because they made this decision. The lobbyists are going to pay more to your senators, pay more to your House of Representatives. They will stop listening to you. What do you give them? A vote? Fuck you. What value is that? There's no monetary amount attached to a vote. Maybe. You could start selling your votes too. Tax-free donations to tax-free bribes. Yeah, exactly. God, would votes fall under this? I'm being way too far forward. But if I did a vote and got a gratuity, would that be legal? Probably not, because they'd attach it to a vote or something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if that pops up. That's a question we now have to ask. It used to be illegal to pay people to vote, but maybe it's not anymore. Maybe it's not illegal anymore. Nobody fucking knows, because the Supreme Court has caused chaos again and again by abandoning the laws that we had in the past. They cause chaos today. How do they rationalize it? They rationalize it by saying, Kavanaugh rationalized it by saying that it's not illegal to buy your professor a dinner at the end of the year. It's not illegal to buy somebody a cup of coffee when you're speaking to them. It's not illegal for a lobbyist to bring a lunch to the meeting with a representative or invite them to lunch and pay for it. They say that's not illegal, and I'm on board for it. But if that's not illegal, then nothing is illegal. Then $13,000 checks, because this case was about a $13,000 check. That's not a lunch. That's not a gift card. That's not a cup of coffee. A $13,000 check for making a decision as a politician is bribery. They've made that legal. Yeah, if you're not paying ahead of the vote, paying before the vote is bribery. Paying after the vote, that's fine. That's acceptable. Conservatives will resort to legalizing bribery and empowering underhanded professions like lobbying to get their way. Yeah, Congress can make it illegal. Yes, they can, kissing gonzo. That actually could happen. Congress could pass that law. You think they will? God, no. They'll never do that because they're about to get paid too. Why would Congress pass a bill to make it illegal to bribe Congress? They're Congress. This makes paying Congress easier. This makes paying Congress better and more effective. They won't vote against that. They won't even vote against insider trading laws. You know, they trade with insider information all the time because it's beneficial to them. And when people point that out, they put a fake little rule in place saying that it wasn't allowed anymore. And then they overturned that rule quietly a few months later because they don't care. They're getting paid. They're getting rich off of this. They're getting those bribes. Why would they listen to you anymore? You're not bribing them. You're not paying them. They're going to stop listening to you. They're going to stop listening to me. They're going to stop listening to everybody who isn't paying them. Let's ask Congress to answer the question. Congressional leadership who's brave enough to put the question to them and receive a satisfactory answer, they will simply side with Kavanaugh. They'll say, oh, we can't do anything about it. Sorry, I'm just going to keep taking these bribes. And the court said it was okay, so it's fine. Judges, congressmen, and bills up for auction for public to bid on. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Whoever pays me the most. How much can you, it's a gratuity. It's a tip afterward. So if you do X and get tipped, you will do X again. And then you'll do it again to get more money. It's a thing. And yeah, this is capitalism run amok. This is what I talk about all the time. I complain about it all the time. Capitalism is running amok right now. Money solves everything. The laws based on morals. Money, regulations keep the population safe. Money, right. Money. It's all about money, SpongeBob. I want to ask my senator about how they feel about this exact thing. They might tell you that it's bad. You'll ask them a difficult question, and the lobbyist will pay them thousands of dollars. Who are they going to listen to? This is the problem of money in politics. This is why everyone who pays attention has been crying about how much money is in politics. We don't want that money there. It corrupts people. Money is the corrupting force within government. Get it out of there. And this is the exact opposite. This is more money. This is more corruption. This is more bribery. And it will not stop. I don't know how we stop it. I'm being very doomer today, and I'm being very grumpy and unhappy, but I don't see how we stop this.
Pressing the thumbs up button will release chemicals in your human brain that will make you feel.
The Supreme Court is poised to rule in Trump presidential immunity case on Monday. So they have extended their stuff to Monday. On Monday, they might give us some more bad news. They might tell us that Donald Trump is immune to crimes. They might tell us that. They might tell us on Monday that Donald Trump is immune to crimes. What do you think that'll do? Do you think Joe Biden will then go and do a bunch of crimes to keep our country safe? No, he won't. They're the Dems. They do nothing. They will sit still. They will say they will write a strongly worded letter to the Supreme Court about how much they don't like that, and then they will lose. And then Donald Trump will just break all the laws, as I have suggested he will in the past and he will do in the future. I still make it known with my email to my senator that they on record that the voters are against this. These records are kept forever by the government. Yes. So I'm not telling you not to do so, Gonzo. I think that's a good thing to do. But if you're not attaching a dollar bill to it, they don't care. They will see a lobbyist giving them thousands of dollars to make a decision, and they will see your email telling them to do the opposite. They'll choose the one that gives them the most power, the money. Money is power. And if you have more of it, you have more power. Our country is built around that ideal. More money equals more power. More money to run a campaign means you get to be elected, and you get to have the power. Money is power. Your email does not give them any money. It doesn't. And even if you were pushing on them, vote for Trump, he wants to end this corruption. Armed with opinions, he loves this corruption. He is a part of this corruption. He wallows in this corruption. He rolls around in this corruption and promises more of it. He was corrupt before he got in charge. Money is the corruption, and Donald Trump is money, my man. He has been a absolute terror. He proves that the more money you have, the more power you have. And he will have more of it. Do you think Donald Trump loves money? And if he's got armed with opinions telling him don't do a corruption, or a lobbyist giving him millions of dollars to do the corruption, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to listen to you? No. He's going to listen to the person who gives him the most money, because money is power. Drain the Swamp Live was one of his biggest lies. Yeah, he swims in those corrupted waters. Yeah, Donald Trump drained the swamp and replaced it with Trump brand swamp water. Trump can't stop the corruption. He's been convicted by a jury. His fellow Americans is guilty. He's corrupt to the core. His family has made much money of the U.S. government over many decades. Jared will make so much more money in a second Trump term. That $2 billion he got from Saudi Arabia, $2 billion he got from Saudi Arabia. Proven. We know it happened. We know it's there. The money that Hunter Biden got is mostly imaginary. They can't prove that it happened. They can't prove any bribery from Ukraine through Hunter to Joe Biden, but that still makes this guy go crazy. Yeah, we're getting Trump again, and it's going to become absolutely nightmarish. He will not listen to you, armed with opinions. I'm telling you. Donald Trump won't do what you want him to do. He's going to do what he's paid to do. Are you going to be the one to pay him? Probably not. He's going to do what he's paid to do, and only those things that he is paid to do. And it will not go well. The institutions can't stop him this time. They can't save us this time. Why can't the Congress do anything about it? Because they're going to be on the payroll too. He's going to be immune. Maybe Monday he might be immune to all fucking crimes. Monday he might be announced that he is immune to crimes, in which case he's the king, and the court will back him up 100% of the time. There will be no making things better. There will be no way to argue with it. The person with the most money is the winner. Let's see. So he might be immune to crimes and immune to bribery. And he's going to be immune to crimes, able to be bribed, and the court's going to protect him no matter what. So that's going to go really well. Give Donald Trump ultimate power. I'm sure it'll be fine. We just witnessed the biggest Supreme Court power grab since 1803. The court has given itself nearly unlimited power over the administrative state, putting everything from environmental protection of workers' rights at risk. This just happened yesterday. This is the Supreme Court saying that the administrative state has no authority and power. They cannot make decisions. Only courts can make decisions. Only courts can make decisions. Yes, the legislature can write laws about very, very, very specific details, but they won't. They're already gridlocked. Congress is already gridlocked. Do you think that Congress could pass a law about how many parts per million lead are allowed in drinking water? God, no. Congress can't do that. They're worthless. They accomplish nothing. They can do no specific things. They do big things every now and then, but they let the agencies handle the details. They pass a big law that says, hey, we want clean water. And then they create an EPA to determine the very tiny details on how that clean water gets how that water gets cleaned and how clean is clean. That's gone as of yesterday. It's gone. Congress can make decisions on how many parts per million lead is allowed in water, but they're not going to. Which means who does it? Judges. Only judges can make those decisions now. And the Supreme Court just passed that because they want that power. the Supreme Court will now make those decisions for you. And not just the Supreme Court, all judges across the state. Alabama judge can now determine how much lead is allowed in water, how many car batteries are allowed to be thrown into the ocean. They can decide that judge. And guess what? They can be bought. Those judges can now be paid after the fact. If a judge in Alabama decides that more lead in the water is acceptable, he can then be tipped by the companies afterward. He can now be paid by lobbyists afterward. Biden couldn't even speak the other night. Yeah, I know. That's why he's going to lose. Trump is after the Constitution. Yeah, he does. And shits on everyone for 8 years. Yeah. Biden's weak in ethics. Yeah. Congress should pass a law. You think Congress could pass a law? They can't pass anything. Shinsento's got it. They can't pass laws anymore. They can't. They can't pass big laws saying big things and then giving that law to the EPA or to the administrations to work out the tiny details. They can't do that. They sure as hell can't nail down the tiny details. One person from Kentucky will decide that one minor thing in this bill is not good enough for his constituents, and he will hold it up. There will be more gridlock. This doesn't make less gridlock. It makes more. Do you think that Congress is super effective right now, knocking things out, getting a bunch of things done? If not, it's only going to get worse with this bill, with this decision. It's not a bill, it's a decision. It's a fucking decree from the priests on high. They have made this fucking decision for you and your fucking country. There's no way around it. The only way it would be to have cleaner water and fresher air is to change the standards to respectful. Awful is good. Yeah. There will be lawsuits. Yeah. But who cares? The judges will just get paid by the side that wants to win the most. Nothing is absolute. Things change. There's consequences and pendulum effect. Congressional leadership intentionally stops voting. Yes. Mitch McConnell should not escape. Great. Mitch McConnell will be paid by people to make decisions. And I don't think that's a good idea. That's a terrible idea. That's only going to get worse. I already think Mitch McConnell is in the pocket of big business and big money. He's already being paid through favors and stuff like that, and business deals and stock options and shit like that. And that's only going to get worse. That's going to be worse. So this specific choice, this specific thing, the biggest judicial power grab since 1803, the Supreme Court overruled Chevron versus Natural Resources. A 1984, so this has been in charge since 1984. It's not like the fucking blue-haired transgenders put this shit into a place 2 years ago. 1984, this case was decided by a Supreme Court. It instructed the judiciary to defer to the president and the president's experts in executive agencies when determining how best to enforce laws passed by Congress. So the experts in an executive agency, similar to OSHA or NOAA or the people who track the hurricanes and the weather services and shit like that, I've got a whole list of them. We'll look at it here in just a minute. In doing so, the court gave itself nearly unlimited power over the administrative state and its regulatory agencies. Unlimited power the court now has. And they're for sale. So fucking... you better make some money on that. They have unlimited power and they are for sale. That's the fucking headline. That's the position that we are in now. Unlimited power and they're for sale. Congress sets laws. Executive branch determines how. Right. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not anymore. The executive branch has lost power today. They've lost it. It now belongs to Congress. And if the Congress won't do it, and they won't because they are more gridlocked than ever, it will go to the judges. And local judges are going to decide environmental law. Local judges are going to decide banking law, banking regulations. Local judges are going to decide very complicated cases that used to be in the federal government's, in the executive branch's area. And they're for sale. That's the bottom line. They're going to be deciding this. Local judges are going to be deciding this, and they are for sale. If you're not a lawyer, that probably sounds bad, but mainly in a technical sense. Regulatory agencies like the EPA and the Securities and Exchange Commissions, the SEC, baby. Wait till the SEC doesn't have rules and is for sale. You know what that means? That means people with stock money pay the SEC for making bad decisions that benefit the people who paid them. That's what's coming. You think the stock market is a fucking rigged game now? Wait until they have no rules. Wait until there is no regulation on it. It will be a giant nightmare. I'm okay with the executive branch losing power, too, if it goes to the people. Because of the many executive branch subpoenas being ignored, giving Congress more teeth it managed to regularly, properly can work. This could empower the legislature. You're right, it could. Have you seen the legislature? They're a bunch of catty bitches who don't do anything. They're a bunch of catty bitches who can't get basic fucking budgets passed. They can't pass budgets, that legislature. Do you think they can determine the very finite detail, the very, very tiny details about the Security and Exchanges Commission? No, they can't. How can they have not considered the points you're making now? They did, and they came down on the side of we want more power. The judges know all of this. The judges know everything that I am saying to you right now. The Supreme Court knows all of the things that I am telling you, and they chose it because it gives them more power. It gives them more authority. It makes them more important and gets them paid. They know all these things. This isn't a surprise to them. Kavanaugh looked at a $13,000 check and said, yes, that's acceptable, because I would like a $13,000 check, please. Where's my $13,000 check? Kavanaugh is thinking. Where's my trips on yachts that Justice Thomas has been getting? Where are my kickbacks? Get me my kickbacks. We have a word for it, kickback. We already have that word. We already know what kickbacks are. They used to be illegal. They used to be murky. They used to be difficult. You had to prove that someone was getting a kickback for the choice that they made. But it looked like corruption. That's not corruption anymore. It's legal. It's totally fine. Kickbacks are cool and great, and everybody loves them, and everybody's going to be expecting them. And they will only make decisions if they get a nice big kickback. That's the system we have now. The system has changed. This past week, the system has changed. It really has. Let's see. The U.S. Constitution, flawed though it is, has already answered the question of who gets to decide how to enforce our laws. The Constitution says quite clearly that Congress passes laws and the President enforces them. The Supreme Court, constitutionally speaking, has no role in determining whether Congress has the right to pass the law, or if the executive branch is right to enforce it, or how presidents should use the authority granted them by Congress. So, for instance, if Congress passes a Clean Air Act, which it did in 1963, the president creates an executive agency to enforce it, which President Nixon did in 1970. Then it's really not up to the Supreme Court to say, well, actually, clean air doesn't mean what the EPA thinks it means. This is where we are. As of 2 weeks ago, in the recent past, the EPA would determine what clean air means. The EPA would make an assumption. They would hire experts. They would bring in scientists. They would make decisions based on what's possible and what's not to get clean air. But that is not their choice anymore. The EPA does not get to decide that. Congress can decide it. They won't, because they suck. The judges will, because they don't have to get 418 people to agree on a thing and vote for a thing and then get it signed by a president to make these decisions. The judges are very quickly going to start making these decisions. Yeah, Congress can then clarify what they mean by clean air in the act, but they won't, because they suck. Congress won't make these decisions. They can't. They're gridlocked already. And think about it this way. Is Congress bad at doing its job right now? Most people say yes. Do you want to give them millions and millions more decisions to make? I don't. I think they will do a bad job on that. If you increase their workload, and I'm not talking like a little bit of increase, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of decisions to make, they will just do nothing. They will not make those decisions. Or if they do make those decisions, if they do pass those things, they're for sale. Remember? Bribery is legal now. They will make the decision that gets them paid the most. Voting no on this bill will get me a $100 kickback, or voting yes on it will give me a $100,000 kickback. They vote yes to get the $100,000 kickback. That's what they'll do. That is the system that we have now. It only happened yesterday, so it's a brand new world. It's about to rear its ugly head. Things are about to get real fucking bad. For an unelected panel of judges to come in above the agency and tell them how the president is allowed to enforce laws is a perversion of the constitutional order and the separation of powers, and a repudiation of democracy itself. By repudiating democracy to expand its own power, the court has exactly what the Supreme Court did today's ruling in Looper Bright versus Ramondondo. It overturned Chevron. Chevron is the one that you'll be hearing a lot of the people on the news talk about. Chevron. It is a naked power grab that places the court ahead of literal experts chosen by the president, who is the one elected officials we get to vote for. Do you think this is a special competence in resolving what the word clean means and context of the Clean Water, Clean Air Act experts in the EPA justices, or Harlan Crow's yacht? Yeah. So you have EPA scientists that are going to get shot down by judges who don't know anything. Let's see, what's this one say? What's the SCOTUS just did to the broadband, the right to repair, and the environment, and more. So these are some more lists of things that are going to be changed. The true scope of this ruling will not be immediately felt, and what replaces Chevron deference is still unclear. The regulatory state has been under steady attack from increasingly conservative judiciary for a long time. Some of these agencies we follow are more closely kneecapped even before the decision. One expert we talked to said Chevron has been a dead letter for quite some time. Okay, we don't need to know about that. What's going to happen in the future? That's what we want. A new threat to net neutrality. So yeah, net neutrality is going to be gone. You won't get to make those decisions. The Federal Communications Commission has famously interpreted Title II as the Communications Act to regulate internet service providers as a common carrier in a policy known as net neutrality. Reclassifying ISPs as a telecommunication service rather than information services would let the FCC impose more regulations on the industry, including mandating that they can't unfairly block or throttle internet traffic. The idea is to keep ISPs from controlling what information users do and don't see on the internet. That determining what you see and what you don't see on the internet is up for sale. Who's going to pay the most? That's where we are. Everything is for sale. Everything is for sale now. Everything is for sale. That interpretation could come under threat, even as the FCC just recently voted to reinstate net neutrality. It's going to be gone. Net neutrality, I'm calling it right now, is gone because people will pay the politicians to get rid of it. Net neutrality is a good thing. Paying politicians to get rid of net neutrality is a bad thing. We don't want throttling. I agree, Gonzo. Net neutrality means no throttling. Net neutrality is awesome and good and the way it ought to be, but it's now that bribery is allowed. The politicians who vote against net neutrality, the politicians who vote for throttling, will get paid by Xfinity and Comcast. They'll just get a tip for doing so. They will vote against regulations. They will vote to allow Comcast to do the throttling. Comcast will then pay them. You write a letter to them and say, hey, I like net neutrality, please keep it up. And Comcast gives them $100,000 to say, no, we don't like it. Who will submit the bills? The politicians. And if the politicians don't submit those bills, it's the court who gets to decide. This is again, the part where the legislation won't do it. The legislators might get stuck in a quagmire. The legislators of who's going to submit those bills might get bogged down in moneyed interest. You know, they might just do nothing. They might get stuck in the quagmire in their slow-moving, very gridlocked way, which means it goes to the court. The court will decide. And it's much easier to pay one judge than it is 15 state senators. So that's what's going to happen, is everybody's going to be paying everybody. How can there be no oversight? Because they just killed it. Oversight is gone. They just killed it this week. It's gone. It has ceased to be. They killed it. It's over. Regulatory agencies are done. For example, even if the FCC previously chose to classify ISPs in a way that would lead to a lighter touch regulation, the Supreme Court ruled that Chevron defense could be applied to the FCC's interpretation of the Communications Act. So Chevron can be applied to anything that happened in the past. This change echoes backward to decisions made in the past. They are about to get hundreds of new cases. The Supreme Court, the regular courts, the lowest level courts, are about to get hundreds of thousands of new cases of companies changing regulation, demanding that the regulation is wrong so that that company can make more money. Those judges are going to make decisions. The state legislatures could override those court decisions, but they would have to vote on it. State legislatures, not the cleanest, most forward-thinking people, are going to be able to make those decisions, but they might not. They can, but they might not. Is this 100% judge overtaking? No, but it is so complicated that the legislatures are going to have a difficult time with it. Legislatures move slowly. They always move slowly. And they have lots of people, and you have to get everybody together, and you have to discuss the problems, and then one pain in the ass says, I don't like it, because he's being paid to not like it. He will filibuster it or something along those lines, and there will be no decision. There will be no bills passed, which means it goes to the court, and the court gets to decide. And it'll be on this won't be just the Supreme Court. This will be lower courts. This will be a fucker in Alabama who just decides that, yeah, you're allowed to do that. The company's allowed to do that. And the company pays him afterward. He says, yeah, Comcast is allowed to create these fast and slow lanes, and they're allowed to charge their customers whatever the hell they want. And then Comcast will pay him. That's how it'll go. The coal mining companies, there's a coal miner in Kentucky that's suing his employer. And the legislature won't do anything about it because they're bogged down and paid one guy to filibuster the thing. And then the court's going to make the decision. The decision is capable of being paid afterward. Like some asshole judge in Texas that knows better than doctors. Exactly. Anything to do with medical stuff is absolutely not going to get legislation. Like Texas didn't even vote, let their people vote on the Roe versus Wade, the new abortion laws. They didn't even get to vote on it. The legislature just decided that's what they would do. And the legislature can do that. But if there's one person paid to be an asshole in that legislature and filibuster it, if you pay 5 people within the legislature not to move forward, then it goes to the judges. And those judges are paid too. Everybody's for sale now. Everybody's for sale. Top to bottom, all of them. It was already pretty bad. The money in politics was already pretty bad. It just got worse this week. It's worse now. Everybody's getting paid by everybody. Are you paying anybody? If you're not, you fucking lose. The downfall of Chevron deference could completely change the way the court reviews net neutrality. Yep. Happened to the environment and efforts to fight climate change. It's no coincidence that Chevron itself was an environmental case, especially for an agency like the Environmental Protection Agency that makes these highly technical, highly scientific-based decisions very, very complicated. Chevron was very important. Overruling Chevron is essentially the big power grab, experts tell The Verge. It pushes the agency's technical experts to the side when it comes to crafting environmental protections. Experts no longer get to decide what your environmental protections are. The court will, or the legislature will, if they can be fucking bothered to. In recent years, the conservative-leaning Supreme Court has already whittled down the agency's regulatory authority, notably by strengthening the major questions doctrine in the Heisberg anti-Chevron. Okay, as a result, the EPA has already pivoted away from relying on Chevron's deference. According to that, so they already knew that was coming. A rule the EPA finalized in April for cutting greenhouse gas emissions from power plants is a prime example. Supreme Court decision in West Virginia, coal country, not only strengthened the major question doctrine, it also said that the EPA's rules shouldn't determine whether utilities use fossil fuels or renewable energy. So the EPA can't make decisions anymore. Effectively pushed the EPA to turn to controversial technologies that capture carbon dioxide from power plants in its policy to cut greenhouse gas emissions. And then they'll just get rid of that too. Let's look at a list of them, because there are a lot of these things. Here's a list of government agencies and regulatory bodies. The FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. This is about banking. If these people aren't able to regulate anymore, they regulate interstate and foreign communication by radio, telephone, telegraph, and television, Federal Deposit Insurance, stuff like that. So they regulate these things. What do you think happens if they're able to be bribed? Well, those things change, don't they? The Federal Reserve System is a Federal Deposit Insurance. The Federal Reserve is a central banking system, and enacts the Federal Reserve Act. If they can make more money by changing a law, that's fine now. They can, if somebody at the Federal Reserve changes a law, a very rich person is allowed to tip them and give them money for it. What else we got? We've got Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Reserve, Federal Trade Commission is an independent agency of the United States government whose principal mission is to enforce civil antitrust law. And if they're paid not to do it, they won't. That's where we are. These people don't get to make decisions anymore. Our government is collapsing. There will be no one in charge of it except for the judges. That's why I called it a coup. That's why I added the title that I did, that the Supreme Court just did a little coup. All the judges will make those decisions. Let's see. Office of Comptroller. I don't know what they do. What's a comptroller? Of the currency in an independent bureau with the United States Department of Treasury that was established. This is to do with the Treasury. They make decisions about money. And if they make a decision that makes Amazon more profitable and raises their stock prices, Amazon will pay them. And they know this. They will know ahead of time. Let's see, what do we got? We got a Department of Commerce. Yeah, but Commerce. Guess what? You can buy them. If you want to buy the Department of Commerce, you can now. You can buy the Department of Commerce. How would you like to buy the Department of Housing and Urban Development? Somebody's going to do that. Somebody at the Department of Housing and Urban Development will get paid for making decisions about housing by the people who make money from houses. This will not make us better. This will make us far more corrupt. We need bribery oversight, Gonzo? Yeah, we do. We had it until last week. There are approximately 430 federal agencies. Will the government agencies take sexual favors as bribes? I don't think that they can at the moment. That's probably still illegal. Money is far cheaper than sexual favors anyway. All right, let's see what else we got. We've got the EPA. We looked at the EPA. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So they're for sale. Hope you gather some money and buy the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Let's see, what is the Department of the Treasury? The Treasury's for sale. Gather together some money and buy some fucking people at the Treasury. You know, money is sturdier than sex. Yeah, it's true. Let's see, what do we got? We've got Access Board. I don't know what that is. Department of Justice. They're for sale. If you make a choice within the Department of Justice, you're allowed to get paid for it afterward. If you make a decision to do this thing, you can be paid afterward. Am I being hyperbolic? No. This is what's coming. This is absolutely what we're about to have. I'm being predictive, I think. Am I being hyperbolic? I'm predicting what I think is about to happen. I think that someone who works at the Department of Justice is going to make a decision and then get paid for it. That will teach them to make more decisions for that person who paid them. They will be, once you are paid to do a thing, you will start doing that thing more often. And the people who want you to do that thing will pay you more often. I'm literally a live streamer. If I got up and did a dance and someone tipped me for it, I would then do more dances, wouldn't I? If it gets you paid, you'll do it more often. That is the problem. The people at these agencies are going to start making rules and stuff like that, and they can be paid. But they can be paid by anybody. So the judges are going to start making decisions based on cases that come before them. If there is a case, net neutrality is a good example. It's been all over the fucking judges. There have been 1,000 judges involved in net neutrality. Now imagine those cases still happen, and the judge knows that if he makes a decision one direction, Comcast will pay him. He's more likely to make that decision. If he makes the decision the other direction, he won't get paid. Say no, shoot this case down, you don't get paid. Say yes to this case, you make money. Comcast will just tip you for the good job you did. And that's legal now. That's not even like under the table. They can simply just do it. They can simply give that guy the money and smile and look at the camera and wave and say, hey, I gave this guy some money. Cool. Good job. Way to choose that case, DOJ. Department of Homeland Security. There you go. So if the Homeland Security makes 1,000 little decisions, they're a large organization. They make lots of tiny decisions. Can Congress make those decisions for them? Yes, they can. Will they? No. They're a fucking joke. They cannot do tiny things. They can't do big things. They sure as hell can't do the tiny ones. So the DHS doesn't get to make decisions anymore. Judges get to make those decisions. And those judges are going to be paid after making those decisions. They might close up the borders forever for the right price. Yeah, if you want border policy, you will simply pay the person who keeps doing the policy that you like. It's a post-decision pay structure. Hey, I want this border closed. Pay that man. Somebody will pay him. Or open the border. I mean, let's fucking turn this entirely around. Let's get some fucking Republicans on board. Armed with opinions, I hope you're still here. The Dems can just pay people now. Do you like that? Do you like the idea of Nancy Pelosi making more money? Because she's going to make more money. This absolutely gets Nancy Pelosi way more money. Absolutely does. Her bank account just fucking She just knows that she's going to make a shitload more money because of this. Same for all of them in Congress, but do you want both sides to be able to get more money? I don't think that's a good plan. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't want that to happen. I think there's already too much money in politics, and now there's more. Let's see. So yeah, that's our, what other agencies have we got down here? DHS, that's for sale. Social Security, there we go. Social Security Administration. They make decisions. And if they make the decision you like, you get to pay them. And the people who are seeking, the profit seeking, will be part of their operation. I will seek the most profit at the Social Security Administration, and whatever I do gets me paid is the thing that I'll do. Let's see, Department of Veteran Affairs, that's for sale. You want them to get paid less? Well, somebody gather the money. Yeah, Soros is frantically writing checks because he's allowed to now. If you think Soros bucks were real before, they weren't, but they are now. Fucking George Soros just gets to pay people. Maybe that's how we turn it the fuck around. Maybe we just have George Soros start paying every member of Congress. All of them. Every single one. Maybe then it'll convince the right not to fucking allow this. Not to let Donald Trump pick more Supreme Court justices. What do we got? Pension benefits. Yep. That's for sale. Railroad Retirement Board. Do you think that Nancy Pelosi, AOC, and fucking Maytag, MTG, can come to some sort of agreement about the Railroad Retirement Board? Do any of those people know anything about motherfucking railroads and their retirement money? No, they don't. Which is why the Congress won't be making these decisions. Congress would have to meet, be in session, put together a bill about very tiny, specific Railroad Retirement Board decisions. Incredibly small, like who gets what and how much in percentages. Very, very, very tiny decisions. Maytag will stand against it, and if Nancy Pelosi's for it, Maytag will be against it. Doesn't matter what the fuck it is. It doesn't matter how useful it is. It doesn't matter how good it is for the American people. She won't care. Nancy Pelosi says yes, Maytag says no. They will be in gridlock. It doesn't matter if they're giving out good things for the people. Maytag might know about running a train. Maybe it was a bad choice on my part. They will not make intelligent decisions for the people. They will make political decisions. They will make ideological red versus blue decisions. That means the legislature won't be able to come up with a decision. That leaves it to the court, and the court will be in charge, and the court will make the decision that they are paid to make. What other ones we got? Chemical safety, that's for sale. Department of Energy, that's for sale. Commission on the Fine Arts, that's for sale. Council on Disability, that's for sale. United States Department of Labor, that's for sale.
Pressing the thumbs up button will release chemicals in your human brain that will make you feel.
I don't think this is going to go very well. I think this is going to go very, very badly. More money in politics, more corruption. That's what we're looking at over the next few years. It might not be tomorrow, but it is coming. The Supreme Court makes decisions like that, and they take a while before you see the effects. Office of the Inspector General, that's for sale. The OIG, I don't know what they do specifically, Gonzo, but if they make a certain decision, you can pay them for it. Judicial Conduct and the Disabilities Act of 1980. If you decide a certain way, somebody might pay you. If you decide to kill a regulation, somebody might pay you. If you decide to enact a regulation, somebody might not pay you. Money is power. If you are on the right, if you are a Donald Trump fan, you don't like unions. Follow me here. Listen, I'm going to be a Republican for a minute. I'm talking to the Republicans. I'm talking to you. Do you like unions? No? Well, guess what? They're allowed to pay politicians more. As of last week, unions are allowed to pay politicians more. The unions are going to pay Nancy Pelosi. Do you like that, Republican? Do you like that, conservative? Do you want unions to pay more money to Nancy Pelosi? They're going to, because of the conservatives on the court. The conservative court has decided it's legal for unions to pay Nancy Pelosi. Don't vote for Donald Trump. He will make this worse. He is corruption. He is the moneyed interest. He will make all of this worse. Project 2025 has promised to kill the administrative state, and this is the first stab. This is the first knife into the administrative state. The conservatives hate it. But you know what happens when there is no administrative state? You get to do whatever you want. Whoever has the money gets to do whatever they want. Sometimes that's the unions. Unions have a lot of money. They have a lot of people. Those people all pay dues and stuff like that. And then the unions will just give the money to Nancy Pelosi. Do you like that? If not, you can't support this idea. But as usual, the people on the left have less money, less power, less authority because they want more democracy. The corporations will have way more money than the unions. Obviously. They always have. They always will. And they will pay more politicians. So the unions will eventually get snuffed out. They will be smashed. They will be crushed. They will be destroyed by right-wing politicians who make a right-wing choice and then paid for it by the companies. That's how it'll go. Gonzo, those people are for sale now. Yeah. And if they make a decision to accept, if the OIG makes a decision to accept that these things are not criminal anymore, they'll get paid for it. The system is unraveling. You're pointing at systemic solutions. And I don't think the system can survive this. I don't think it can. I think we're about to watch the entire thing unravel because we allowed corruption. We allowed people who do not want what's best for the population to be in charge. We allowed money to do exactly this. If your government is awash in capital, this is what you will get. This is what you will always get. If money is more powerful than the government, then the government will be overtaken by people filled with money, people who want money. It's the only way there is. There is no way around this. Okay, best case scenario. I know I'm being doomer here, and I'm being very pessimistic. Joe Biden wins. Great. He still has probably a Republican House and a 50 seat Senate plus the vice president. So they have 50 plus 1 in the Senate. What does he do? Can he stand up to the Supreme Court? Probably not. He won't. And the senators won't want him to because they'll be getting paid. The senators are being paid. The House getting paid. Why would they let President Biden stop it? Why would he want to stop it? He's a capitalist. He loves capitalism. He talks about it all the time. He's a neolib. He loves this idea. He needs more money for his friends. And all of the people at the DNC are going to be like, wait, yeah, we can just make more money now. Why would we upset that? They will lose eventually to the people on the right. And there's no coming back from that. Best case scenario, Biden wins and we limp along for another few years. Worst case scenario, the entire system falls apart. It's a huge assumption that they'll all think the same way. They don't all have to think the same way. They have to have enough people to do nothing. That's what they need. They need enough people to filibuster. Filibuster. No progress. No changing. No moving. That is what you don't have to pay Congress to change the laws. You'll just have to pay a few people in Congress to stand completely still, filibuster this shit. And that's what they'll do. The people who get paid the most will do nothing. They will be paid to make no new laws. They will be paid to make decisions that make the companies more money. And then with that more money, they'll buy more politicians. That is how I think this is going to play out. Am I being exaggerative? Maybe. Am I predicting doom? Yes. Am I predicting things that will go badly? Yes, I am predicting that because it seems to be the trend. Citizens United was a decade ago, and that made everything worse. And now we're getting worse. That's with respect to they'll do. No one knows exactly what they'll do, and you're speculating. Yes, yeah, I am speculating. I make no argument to that. I am speculating. Predicting things is hard, especially the future. But that's what I do. That's what I like to do. It's what I like to think about. This thing happened. What's going to happen tomorrow? I'm a progressive. I want to know what is happening tomorrow. I want to make plans for tomorrow. Tomorrow is far more important than yesterday. In my brain, the way I look at things. So, what else to talk about? Okay, wild speculation, crazy speculation. All drugs become legal. They do, because someone wants to sell them. How does this affect marijuana? If you have money right now, yeah, I think it's going to happen. And I think this might be some of the reason that it gets pushed back on. If you have money right now and you want weed legalization, you will be able to pay someone in your government after they make that decision. if a Texas Democrat, there are a few of them, not very many, but there are a few, pushes a bill, and they're going to float these little balloons. They're going to float these little ideas in every state legislature so that they can fish for dollars. Let's say Beto O'Rourke. He's a Texas Democrat. He puts forward a bill that says weed's legal. It gets defeated. It gets stomped into the fucking ground. But you know what Beto gets after that? Money. He gets money from the people who want it to be true, who want it to be up, who want it to go. Where do they have these conversations? It doesn't matter. It's legal. They're allowed to have these conversations in their DMs, in their phone calls, in their funding campaign meetings. Beto O'Rourke has meetings with people who fund him, and he tells them what he wants to do. They're allowed, within legal reasons, to fund him. Yeah, there will be coordination. There will be coordination, and that's legal now. It's fine. As long as he doesn't say it, if you say it the right way, it's fine. It's acceptable and it's legal. So he will float this bill. He'll put forward this bill. He'll go onto Twitter and talk about how he wants this bill to be passed. Then it will get stomped down. Then they will pay him. And he will push it again a second time. And he has more money now. And other people in that caucus. The guy sitting next to Beto will see, hey, he pushed this weed bill and then he got paid. I could use some money. I will also support it. And then he will get paid. And then 3 people will support the bill. And then all 3 of them will get paid. Is the opposite happening at the same time? Yes. The people who want it shut down will also be paying the people who shut it down. And it will just be an amount. The votes won't matter about ideology anymore. The votes will only count who gets paid the most. If I buy 5 senators and you buy 100, you win. If I buy 5 senators to shoot something down and you buy 10 to shoot it up, you've won. Congratulations. You did it. The entire country's for sale now. We can ask the OIG their viewpoint on your concerns. Maybe if they're a regulatory agency, they may have lost power yesterday. They may have lost authority, according to the judges yesterday. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they're going to come in with some super cool thing. Maybe there's a chance that the entire executive does some super cool moves to make this not happen. But I don't think they will. It's not in their interest to do so. There is no benefit to them to do so. Yeah, I don't think there's any benefit for the executive to stand against this. Why would they? They will benefit from the bribery. If you benefit from bribery, bribery will happen. And it will become the norm. And I think that's where we are. And this is how our democracy dies. Because of capital. Because of money. Because of capitalism. This is why I complain about it all the time. Every one of my fucking streams, I yell and scream about capitalism and how it's poisoning us. This is it. This is how it's coming down. The capitalists will be in charge of the entire government. There will be no choices made by them to help you. There will only be choices that get them paid.
Capitalism regulated property can work.
I agree with you. Capitalism, regulated properly, can work. The regulations went out the window this week. The regulations are gone. Those regulations are gone now. And we're about to see it over the next it's going to take a couple of months and a couple of years, I think. And after this election, which is still going to be a fucking mess, I think shit gets real wild.
There are still regulations.
There are still regulations? Not for long. Not for long, man.
I am the algorithm. Click on this video to make me happy. You wouldn't like me when I am angry.